Hi guys, it's Chris here, also known as that French blog. In this video, I'm going to review that lens. It's a Lumiox X-Vario 14 to 42 millimeters. And the reason why this lens is interesting is because it's one of the very few that have here a power zoom, meaning that the zoom actuation is done by a little motor inside. I'll tell you more after this. Electric zoom actuation has always been a thing. If you look at cine lenses, you'll see that they have some teeth around the zoom ring so that you can attach a gearing wheel and control the zoom by a motor. But if you look back like in the 80s, you will see that the video camera that was used at the time by your granddad also had an electric zoom on it. Nowadays, it's something that you can find easily on compact cameras. However, more serious cameras do not tend to have this functionality. A functionality that is very convenient when, like me, today lots of people are using their camera to film themselves. Being able to control remotely the zooming and therefore the framing is something that is interesting, as can be demonstrated here by Sheldon Cooper for his famous YouTube channel, Fun with Flag. I find the idea behind this lens very interesting. Being able to remotely adjust the framing is something that is really useful for me personally. Let's have a look at the lens more in detail. It's an x-Vario lens. The x-Vario appellation means that it is one of the higher grade of lens made by Panasonic for their micro four thirds cameras. And you can tell that in terms of build construction, I mean, you've got there is metal, most of the body is metal. It's a well-built lens. I will not say that it's like comparable to professional lens from the like of Nikon or Canon, but I find it sturdy enough. I think it's sturdy enough. One thing I particularly like is how compact it is. It is a collapsible lens, and if you compare it to the other 14-42 millimeter lens by Panasonic, you will see that in terms of size, this one has a clear advantage, and that is a very good thing. I love micro four thirds camera because they can be very small and you can put them in your pocket, and a lens like that will certainly help you doing so. Being a collapsible lens means that you need to extend it before you can use it. That is something that is done automatically when you switch the camera on. Up, here it goes. In the same way, when you switch the camera off, the lens retracts automatically. To zoom in and out, you use that lever, and you will see that the lens varies only very slightly in length when you do this. How fast you're zooming in and out depends on how far you're pushing that little button. So you can have slow zoom if you need it, which is great for our videos. Another way to actuate the zoom is to go through this menu at the back, and you will see this little white tele button. You press on it. When you do so, you have this little slider that can be used to command the zoom, exactly like it does, with a switch in the front of the zoom. But to me, the more interesting way to command the zoom is to use the Panasonic application on my mobile phone. Let me show you. When you launch this Panasonic app, you will see that you can zoom in and out using those two little buttons in the application. And that is really, really good. Okay, so you can have like my face in full, or up, it goes down, and here I am. Obviously, if you're filming yourself, you don't want to do this while you're filming yourself exactly, but when you are getting set up, it will save you lots of time going back and forth between your chair or wherever you're supposed to stand and the camera to correct any framing. So that is really, really useful for you out there if you are a YouTuber or whenever you need to film yourself. This is certainly a good lens to have. Now let's talk about the optical quality of the lens. And unfortunately, that is an issue with this lens. It's not very good. It's not very bad either. If you look, for example, at DxO websites, they rate it at 10. They give it a mark of 10, when this other one, the usual kit lens, is cheaper, have a mark of 12. In the field, really, if you're doing videos, I think you won't really see a difference between the two. For photography, and if you are trying to do something a bit more demanding in terms of photography, I think this one will lag behind. It's still an okay lens, but don't expect super sharp image from it. Don't expect a good, very, very good quality of image, which is a pity since it's an x-Vario lens. It's supposed to be like the top of the range. It's just not there. Another issue I have is, as much as I was excited about being able to use this electric command for the zoom, is that I find it in the field, when you're taking pictures especially, it's a bit awkward to use. It's not what we use. I much prefer a zoom ring that you can, it's more precise. You can really go faster and slower. Here you can kind of do that by the pressure, but it's not as good as what you're used to. In terms of stabilization, there's no difference between those two lenses. And same thing for aperture, it's the same aperture. So those two lenses are really, really close to each other. This one is cheaper and it's better in lots of ways. So I will recommend that one over the x-Vario. The x-Vario is more money. It's 150 euros. The other one you can have it for less than 100 euros. It's more money. It's not as good typically, and but it has this ability to zoom electronically, which is really great in some circumstances. So if you are filming yourself in videos, you may want to consider that lens. If not, just forget about it and use that one. Okay, yes, it's more compact, but still, it's a bit of a disappointment, that lens. I'll be honest with you. I was wondering why you find so few articles about that lens, and I think it's because it's just not a very attractive lens. You can still buy it, brand new that lens. I find it online for about 440 euros, I think it was. Don't spend that money. If you want one, get one second hand. It's not worth 440 euros. There's far better lens that you can buy with that amount of money. Now let's talk about electric zoom lens. I know that no one in Panasonic will ever watch my videos, and I'm okay with that, but if I could sit with one of the lens designers at Panasonic and give them what I thought, here is what I'll tell them. So why don't you do lenses like this one with manual zoom and an electric gearing inside to do the same thing? I mean, if you're looking at, for example, top of the range Nikon lenses, they don't have electric zoom, but they have autofocus. And the autofocus, you can use the autofocus as much as you want, and at any given time, you can also adjust the focus manually. So you have a manual override on something that is electronically driven. And I really think that is something that Panasonic or other make should try to do with the zoom. And if it's possible to do on the focusing, it's certainly possible to do on the zoom. So do a zoom like this with a motor that will move the zoom ring and give the user the possibility whenever they want to zoom manually as well. And like that, we'll have the best of both worlds. I am not too confident that Panasonic will do that. Why? Because they don't even give manual override on their autofocus, which is a real pity, because sometimes, when your autofocus is not focusing on what you want, like for example, if you want to take a picture of an animal and there is some herb just in front of his face and the autofocus will focus on the herb, you can just very quickly focus where you want and take your picture. With Panasonic, you're lost. When that happens, you have to manual focus, which is not something that is easy to change to in the field. So that's it for today, guys. That is the review of my x-Vario lens. It's a bit of a disappointing lens. I don't know how long I will keep it. I may sell it soon because I don't think I will use it that much, unfortunately. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm sorry about the bad news. If you did enjoy it, please like the video. If you didn't, or even if you did, please comment, tell me what you think, and I'll see you next time.